Okay, so this is me experimenting with. I've never done this before where I scheduled a live and then I figured out how to get into my own live. So I think I've done it. So, what do you guys want to talk about? I have scheduled and I think I am going. Oh no! I'm hearing myself talk. I have to figure out how to shut that down, at least in the delay. Okay, okay. This is the one. Good. Okay. So, I'm going to be doing regular readings on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. And I am so excited. Somebody just posted this very sad comment. Oh, I'm so bummed I missed your live. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can hold myself to a schedule. So we had a rip-roaring session yesterday talking about, I did a full-on ascension reading for the United States. And what I did is I took there are 4 options. Actually, there's probably 8 options. Yeah, there are. But there are 4 options for like descension, ascension. And I took the ascension version. And this was the first time I had my guides kind of, oh, thanks. Thanks. It was the first time my guides just kind of came in. Hey, again. And I wanted to tell you, April 3rd, right? Are you the one that said you were the 5 of spades with the. I was laying in bed last night. I couldn't sleep. And so I'm like, I bet I can figure out exactly which birthday that was. 9 of clubs, which means Mercury, Venus, Mars. Yeah. So anyway, um, yeah, it was the first time my guides really laid their hands on me and just said, it was like this really gentle push. And it was like, this is why we showed you the ascension card thing, because it's for this moment right now, because you guys are beginning to take this higher vibration. And did you guys feel that like all, oh, okay, so you're somebody else. May 1st, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah. Um, this whole last year, I felt like there was this really powerful ascension process happening, but it was very personal and just kind of a one-on-one sort of. I mean, when it happened to you, it happened to you. I'm really sorry about this, but I'm eating, but I was so irritable. My poor husband, I was like, I should probably eat something before I go live. So it was just me being not irritable. Hey, another 10 of diamonds. 4 of clubs, king of diamonds. Okay, so if you guys see my post, and you can go into the community tab, but it'll probably just come up in your feed, right? The scheduled reading for next Saturday. And I put a little comment. The top comment is, well, you'll just have to go read it. It shouldn't ruin it. But my most favorite thing about this is the back and forth and the interaction. So let's, put in your card and we'll see if a theme sort of comes out. So today's the Queen of Clubs. And in the Ascension mundane spread, which is the same as the 43rd year, it shows you where your card is sitting, but one click away from coming back to home base at 44, right? Same as the pre-birth year. And the Queen of Clubs sits in where the 10 of diamonds lives. Okay, so where does the 10 of diamonds live? We always think the very middle of the spread, but we're so conditioned to think about the mundane spread. That's just one. It's one spread. But that's because we're coming out of the Kali Yuga. I heard somebody say recently, well, we came out of the Kali Yuga yesterday, and I was like, really? That's awesome. I hope that's true. It feels like it. It feels like it. There have just been such incredibly powerful feelings of upliftment and a theme of happiness. People who I've never heard really talk about being happy are talking about, hey, I want to be happy. And like I made that decision last fall, and I made it all over again. All my programs about why I shouldn't be happy came up, and I got over it, let it go. So I think the Ace of Hearts just hit me when I was doing. So this, what I'm going to talk about a week from now on Saturday is when I get an esoteric download about a card, and it's not just the highest potential. It's all of those things, but it's more like this transcendent. Like if it lived in 5D, what would this vibration look like? And I just got this sudden download that the Ace of Hearts represents just primal, simple aliveness, happiness, like your dog. That's a really good example. I've heard it said that dogs are 5D, most of them. And once I remote viewed my dog, so on my other channel, I have a remote viewing. My other channel is just my name, Paula Kruger. And I have a tab with all my remote viewings that I did. I took a class last April with John Vivanco. It was fantastic. And so I put 50 taskings in a little box. I pull them out. You don't look at them. It's a blind tasking. And I had requested of myself that I remote viewed my dog. So I didn't know what I was looking at, of course. And at one point, it was just like this heart-centered momentum. And I said to the dog, what I was looking at, I said, so what's your purpose? And it looked at me, I was like, I don't have a purpose other than just be. I'm just being myself. Okay, I'm going to read your comments. Hi, everybody. It's just so nice. Oh, Jason, I remember. You're an American, but you're living in Mexico, and you're so friendly. Tracy, 9 of clubs. We got 3 of diamonds. I should wash my hands. Sorry. I have to go wash my hands for a second. They're covered with jelly. I'm also curious how many of you guys are content creators. Because I've been doing this, but I'm really an amateur. I mean, the whole reason I'm doing this video was to see if I could get into the video that was scheduled to go live. And I figured it out. So, Jack of Clubs. Yay! You're in Europe? Oh, what time is it for you? And where in Europe are you? Okay, so we had a very interesting intersection about the 3 of diamonds yesterday, didn't we? It was, it seems to be one of those high-low cards where, and I think it, like Robert Camp says, it could likely be because the Jack of Hearts is in Saturn, which means it's really going to be put to them. And I find this for the 9 of diamonds too, that you have a very high calling, Christ-like love, which is really hard, isn't it? I mean, it's totally selfless. And so there can be this reaction where you kind of go in the other direction. And 3 of diamonds can be, I don't know any really unhealthy 3 of diamonds. So I'm not speaking from experience. The ones I know are just all really cool. And I nicknamed it the sweetness card because I thought you can't really know the card from the card itself. You have to look at the entire hand. And that's how I came to understand the 3 of diamonds. They have the potential to be very sweet, and what they're showing me now, I have guides that talk to me about the cards. What they're showing me is that it can be like a very pliable, like a soft blanket that will just kind of lay down and conform and fit whatever container it's in. And I'm hearing they can do this with grace or selfishness. They can do this because they're afraid and they're caretaking, or they can do this because they really care about the environment that they're in and they want to be a benefit to the environment that they're in. So I don't know. What do you think? Oh, the Detroit Lions are playing today. I know. Guess what? I'm from Michigan, and so is my husband, and so is the friend that we're going to go hang out with today. And so we're like, hey, why don't we just watch the Lions? It's like a totally alternate timeline because they're actually doing well. And it's like, oh, I need to be a part of this. I really don't care about football, but we grew up watching the Detroit Lions lose every freaking Sunday. And it was like, that's just what they do, Okay. The Jack of Clubs is in Eastern Germany. Wow, what's that like? It's like all normal now, right? Ever since Mr. Gorbachev, take down this wall. I'm quoting Ronald Reagan, 1984-ish. I was in high school. I did a great video about the 10 of diamonds a while back, and then I felt really bad because I insulted you all. But see, that's just kind of what I do. It's like I have to do it, and if you're okay with being mildly insulted, because like most of us know our character flaws, right? And I just couldn't help myself. I mean, I know so many of them, and it's like every time I hear about one of them and pop up, my first reaction is like, and then because okay, I know four of them actually, that are in the really dysfunctional range. Good, wonderful, amazing, dynamic, brilliant people that are loved by the people around them, but they're also just like, so when you have that kind of experience, it colors how you talk about a card. So I recently became aware that they have some serious karma around leadership, that they probably got really burned in a past life, and they don't sit in a leadership position in the pure spread. I mean, think about it. If I could just teach a class and have a discussion on the pure spread. Okay, I'm always standing on my soapbox talking about this. So think about this. What is the intersection? See, so we can't debate about this ascension, descension. I'm like, oh, I have to go back to some ground. What is the planetary intersection? Oh, yeah, I want to ask you two pointed questions. Think about this. What is the planetary intersection of your home position? Think about those in regard to, I don't know, where do they sit with you? Let's learn something. Is this something that you're familiar with? Something that you've kind of aced? Is it something you remember but you don't pull out very often? Are you good at it? Does it just come naturally? I can't answer the question because I'm a 7 of diamonds. So I'm like, yes, I'm very Saturn, and yes, I'm very Venus, and there's just like nothing else going on. Also think about think about the card that is one less than your number, that is in your, what you think of as traditionally your moon position. And I want to talk about that because that's really fun. In the spirit spread, yes, the pure spread, that where everything's in order. Okay, Uranus, Mercury, yes. And also Mercury, Saturn, right? Because it sits under the Queen of Diamonds. Is that true? The Truth Teller card. Okay, let me get out and spread. There's the mundane. There's the good. The whole friggin' notebook. I finally got my shit together and just got a notebook. Okay. So 3 of diamonds, yes. Mercury. So you have a relationship with Mercury, right? Because you're there both times, and there are some cards where there's sort of a nexus. There's sort of a planetary theme, like all jacks have a Uranus. I mean, think about all 8 jacks that you can think of in the mundane and the pure spread. And there is definitely over half of them are sitting in either the vertical or the horizontal Uranus line. The jack's responsibility, their job, is to be the youngest member of the royal family and be like, meh, I don't really care. I'm not really part of all this. Okay. I'm just going to go get drunk later. They're funny. They're not attached. You know, either they don't care or they've managed to learn what non-attachment means, but they're always funny. So the 3 of diamonds have a relationship with truth. And Mercury, thinking, speaking the truth, processing information. Okay, Tracy, I am really new to this. Just ordered your book. Oh! And Cards of Destiny need to understand the way cardology works. Oh, how fun! Okay, astrology is the best foundation you can have. Another foundation that can help you is Enneagram and numerology, just a basic study of the numbers And then the king, queen, and jack and the ace are kind of their own archetype. And the numbers do, Robert Camp said, no, you can't think of the queen as number 12. And I disagree, because I've been doing that for years and it makes sense. Okay, Tracy, you're the 4 of clubs. Well, Tracy, guess what? In my 7 years of doing readings down in Boulder out of a store, it was a fantastic time for me developing, just doing hundreds of readings, keeping notebooks on, everything I picked up. And I saw the 4 of clubs the least. I had 1 4 of clubs show up. So I didn't get to know them very well. I got to know them through the lives. So I would, oh, you made a boo-boo. See, of course, 4 of clubs, they don't need any extra information. They need to figure it out for themselves. Okay, they're the sanity card, fueled by the 5 of clubs curiosity. They're like, la, 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 la. And I did talk to one of them, and she was like, but yeah, we just need to figure it out for ourselves. So you're the 9 of clubs. Yeah, numerology is fun, isn't it? So as a jack, do you relate to the number 11? There is, no, who's a jack? I just pulled that out of my, okay, so the 3s and the jacks have a connection, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. There's also something going on with the numbers of the jack, queen, king, which is like, the jack is 1 to 1. It's like, it's 11, but I thought of it one day as it's 1 to 1. The queen is 1 to 2. The king is 1 to 3. Self to self. Jacks, I love you, but you do tend to be sort of self-involved. You're young. You have this young archetype. It's your job. Aces are about themselves. It's their job. Okay, it may annoy us, and they may have to, whatever, but that's their job. The queen is 1 to 2. So it's like self in relation to another. They tend to be, I will relate to the other. They're a life coach, a mother, a nurturer, a teacher, the helper. And the 1 to 3 is that the king is the leader of a group. I connect with the group. I'm the leader of the group. So isn't that interesting? Anyway, I did not know about the truth card for the 3 of diamonds. Most do not like hearing, oh, that's so true. And guess what? You have just spoken the essence of what I've learned about the queen of diamonds. So sitting in the position of Saturn, horizontal Saturn, and vertical Mercury, where we think of where the queen of diamonds sits, that is, and you'll find this about queen of diamonds or diamond females, when provoked by inaccuracy or a lack of truth. Saturn means I have to tell you something and you're not going to like it, but somebody's got to do it. It's giving you the bad news. It's squaring up with what you need to hear and don't want to hear. And as a 3 of diamonds, you're definitely going to run into that. Hey, I gotta tell you something that you're not going to want to hear. And so they can develop a thick skin. They can develop a capacity to be like, I don't care what everybody thinks, because this is just my job. I have to do this. So I have to let go of the sensitivity that's endemic to the 3 of diamonds. They're tender-hearted and they're kind. And so I think the challenge for them is to get that kindness and that loving nature squared up with the fact that they're going to be delivering a lot of bad news throughout their life, or truth that's going to be hard for people to hear, and how to deliver it in a, I don't know, sometimes you just don't need to care how you deliver it or how you come across. You just need to get it out there. People are going to think what they're going to think. So they're kind of a poster child for sovereignty. And I think that's why they're kind of unpopular. People are like, ew, I hate 3 of diamonds. That's a really tough line to walk, isn't it? So let's have a little compassion for the 3 of diamonds out there. Can you think of any famous 3 of diamonds? Okay, let's switch to another card. Tracy, you're the 9 of clubs. And since you're the newbie here, let's talk about 9s. I love 9s. I love it. I don't want to be one in my next lifetime. I want to be a 7 in my next lifetime. I'm definitely a 9 in the Enneagram. And it's tough. It's tough to be a 9 because it's tough to be everybody. But the hard thing about being a 9 is the invisibility factor, the feeling like what you think, what you say. Okay, with a club, it probably has more to do with thinking and speaking. Does it just seem to be invisible or inaudible? The 9 of diamonds have a crisis of value. I just don't have anything to contribute, or I just can't make any money, or my services aren't really worth anything. The 9 of hearts is a crisis of, right, of course, DJT and Bernie Sanders. Yeah, so I've also heard that he a real birthday, which is not the one we've been told. However, it is fascinating to analyze this because he's such a public figure, and he's very, very impactful. And I think one of the reasons is his style of speaking. And there's one crowd of people that's like, right on, speak the truth, man. Like, what a fucking relief. And there's another crowd that's going, oh, he's such a bully. He's like so cross. I've been in both camps. I'm going to try not to reveal to you which camp I'm in because he's so controversial. You know, are threes like that? You fall on one side or the other of like, I like them or I don't like them. Is that a 3 thing? Anyway, getting back to 9s. Jeannie, hi, you're here. No, you didn't. You are the reason. Okay, so what's your card, Jeannie? You are the reason. I am dedicating my next Saturday video to you and your card because she just posted this. Ugh, I'm so bummed I missed your live. And I responded, okay, I'm going to schedule one. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try not to be so ADD. So, yes, you're on, Jeannie. Okay. 9s, yes, and 9 of spades. That's a tricky card. That one is the most difficult for me to name. They all have a crisis of, I'm not here. I think when you exist in a vacuum or you feel like you do, what you're trying to establish, until you establish it, is that you exist, that you're really here, and it goes really deep. And I remember going into this exercise during my master's program one time, and it's this inquiry process. Health issues with the 9. I think it comes down to this, is that they feel like they're just not there. You know, I mean, my husband and I, he's 3 of clubs, 9 of hearts. I'm 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts. We go into a restaurant, and this doesn't happen so much anymore because I think we've gotten over this, but like where they just don't see you. The waitstaff just doesn't see you. The waitress just keeps forgetting to come by your table. It's like you're putting out this vibration that says, I am water. I will adapt to the container. But what they can become is a very clear conduit of love, insight, knowledge, wisdom. Yogananda was the 9 of spades. So I think that's a very important thing to think about. I did do a study of the 9 of spades. I don't know a lot of them. So the report that I wrote that's in my website, what I would do is I had these 2 websites. It was like famous people and celebrity.com or something like that. And I would just like study them. And very often, no, not very often. Sometimes there would be a physical feature that stood out. It was amazing. I'm like, well, everything's frequency and vibration, right? The 9 of spades were beautiful. Oh, it's like a compensation or a gift that they get for having to be the ultimate 9. And I call it the ultimate transcendent cosmic yada yada. I have a hard time naming it. Oh, your brother-in-law's a 9 of spades. Oh, that's interesting. Well, it is the death card. Okay, but it's also harvest. There's a sense of fullness. I think that depression wouldn't be unusual. I think there is a sense of like Russian nesting dolls where you're containing so much. And there's a disparity between what you know and what you're seeing and experiencing and living in your life. So that could have something to do with it. I have to say I haven't come across a theme when it comes to health issues and any particular card. It hasn't been on my radar, but it could very well be that you're picking something up. So, Jeannie, are you going to tell us what your card is? Let me see, who else is here? We've got the Jack of Clubs, the Ten of Diamonds, Lashana, and the Five of Spades, right? The Green Knight Errant, 1962. Good year. Oh, I've been looking at the same thing, correlations with physical features. The something of diamond women are drop dead gorgeous. Did you mean 9? Yeah, George YW, but they don't see it as clearly themselves and are highly critical of self. Yes, exactly. That's a really, really good point. Oh, you're a very interesting combination, Jeannie. Some cards do this. Okay. Like December 15th is another birthday that does this, where you are your card, but you're also your karma card. So it's kind of like the volume really, really goes up. There's a certain intensity within you, and you don't really know this is true because you're just occupying yourself. You can't occupy other people. But there's a certain intensity in your sense of what you need to accomplish this time, because it's like I'm tracing the lines of that 9 of diamonds really closely, and then so there's a memory of it, there's a very powerful imprint of it, and there's a life path in the present. 6 of diamonds. Oh, okay. Well, I was talking about your 5 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. Okay. Yeah, so that invisibility thing too is like I didn't know that. Okay, so maybe I'm not as attractive now, but when I was young, was pretty attractive, and I didn't know it until my early 20s. I had no idea. And I even had a boyfriend real early on, like late 20s, early 30s, and he was like, "You're really an anomaly because you're very attractive, but you don't walk and talk and act and behave as though you are. Most women are aware of that." And I was like, "Yeah, it did not play a part in my development, my self-development." So, like, I'm really grateful for that, but it's also you can just be totally blind to stuff about yourself. That's also true of the 2 of spades. It's one of their special little gifts, is that tongue-in-cheek gift, is that they cannot see their virtue, their value, their genius, how much they give. Yeah, it's the self-critical thing. I mean, it's generally a disease in our culture, but there's certain cards that have it worse than others. Yeah. Okay, so you're 5 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. I just have to say I love the 5 of diamonds. Let's see where you're located in the pure spread. Your Saturn, Neptune. So things might be challenging, but you always see the possibilities. You know life is difficult and you're prepared for that. You've had some challenges growing up, but you're like, there's a silver lining here somewhere. Your imagination, your fancy, your connection to your inner child, your capacity to be silly and lighthearted, very, very important in this world. I just love that. So, oh, it's true. 7 of diamonds can be a lot of fun. They can be very quirky and strange, but well, thank you for that. That's nice. Okay, so in the pure spread, also look at this. So I asked you to look at the card right next to you. So if like you're a 5 of diamonds, think of your 4 of diamonds as your moon card. Or if you switch it around with the ascension, it becomes a Mercury card. But let's just look at the card that's one less than you, like behind you, and understand how much of a comfort zone it is for you. That is your comfort zone. That is what calms you down. It gives you a sense of stillness, peace, comfort, fulfillment, For me, it's a 6, and the video I did yesterday was mostly about the United States, but then I did a little bit about the 6 of hearts because I had this download that 6s are about work. We call it karma, but you know what I just realized in the Tibetan tradition, the color green, which correlates to wood, and the wood type, they're doers, they're makers, they work with their hands, they love work, and karma literally means work. It's something physical that you do. It's an action that you take. And that's why karma means be very careful about the actions you take because they have repercussions, that whole idea. So think of a 6 in terms of work. And as a 7, the 6 energy for me is it's routine, it's predictability. It's very hard to create it for myself. But when I do, I'm just like my inner child just calms down. The frenetic, creative, that the part of me that doesn't like structure, it calms me down. So when you look at odd cards and even cards, that's also a very powerful dividing line. It's a basic categorization. And you can also count up the number of odd and even cards in your hand. The Uranus line and the Venus line have mostly odd cards. The Mars line is mostly even. Mercury's kind of mixed. Saturn is kind of mixed. No, Saturn is mostly odd, isn't it? Saturn is the toughest hand. If you are in the Saturn line, it's going to be rough. You're going to have some huge challenges at the beginning. Dysfunctional family, da 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 da. You know, it's going to be difficult, but you're up to the challenge. That's kind of what it feels like to me. But so the odd and even cards tend to be, I would say this includes kings and queens a little bit less, definitely not jacks. But even cards tend to create structure for others to be in. Odd cards tend to inhabit those structures. Odd cards have a pip. That's the official name for the dot, the club, the diamond, the whatever. They have a pip in the center. So they're focused on self. They're more focused on self-development. They're more self-reflective. They're more aware of what's happening for them inside. It's kind of hard to get an even card to say, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing inside right now? I mean, unless you're a guy. That was totally a joke. Okay. But just think about that. The even cards are like, what are we going to do next? And the odd cards are like, I just don't feel very good today. Okay. Yes, I have Saturn conjunct with my Sagittarius ascendant. And yeah, my ascendant card is the 7 of Spades. Oh, I have to unpack that. Hi, Tracy, 9 of Clubs, King of Diamonds. Oh, you're the one that said that you're new at this. Okay. Oh, and this is astrology you're talking. Okay, I get it. Your Saturn is conjunct with your Sagittarian ascendant. Saturn and Jupiter energies together tend to create productivity because it's like contraction and expansion, like an engine. Like I can be a troubleshooter, but also my cheerleader. I can see what's wrong, but it doesn't make me fart. Your ascendant card is the 7 of Spades. Yes, and I asked Robert Camp that card when I was in a workshop with him forever ago, which I got for free because I'm pretty sure he owed me. I do have like some past life memory around all that and was told some things, but very grateful for everything he's done though. I mean, like, look at this community. It's because of and I think there's a real purity of heart that he came out with. Oh, he's a 3 of Diamonds, right? But I asked him, can you like take your astrological features and apply them to your hand? Like we talk about the sun sign being the planetary ruler, but in India, they consider your moon sign to be way more important. So think about your moon. Like I have an Aries moon, which would make my Mars card a potential planetary ruler. So that's really something to think about. Ooh, is a 9 of Hearts, Mercury, Venus, Mars. That would be the Queen of Hearts in the pure spread. Mercury, Venus, Mars. It would be the 10 of Diamonds. Oh, and I have all those problems with the 10 of Diamonds. How rich and predictable. Yeah, I do have the kind of a need to be the center of everything. for sure. It's like it's this weird like invisibility, but I'm also a Leo, like I'm a 9, Virgo rising, the shame, a lot of planets in Cancer, but then there's also this, I'm so amazing. Praise me, praise me. Anyway, sorry. So your ascendant card is the 7 of Spades. Yep, and 7 of Spades is like a spine of steel. They have the sensitivity and the discernment and sometimes the insecurity of a 7, but they tend to be rock solid. It's like a high priest archetype. Your solar number card is the Jack of Diamonds. So you're 5 of Diamonds, 9 of Diamonds, 7 of Spades, Jack of Diamonds. A lot of diamonds, right? So the Queen of Diamonds would be really relevant for you to do a study. And since we're talking about the 3 of Diamonds and the Saturn-Mercury intersection, that would be really relevant. You're always learning and coming up with ideas. I'm a maker of all sorts. Oh yeah, my friend Jess is the 5 of Diamonds. Always makes, she's like, here's a picture of a puppet I just made. That's hilarious. And of course, a palm reader, your palm astro reading and herbalism business. Oh, that's really cool. My business card is the 9 of Spades. We were created, or I don't know, did something official. I had business partners back when we started. If it weren't for them, this never would have happened. 7 of Diamonds, come on. I needed a 6 of Diamonds and a 6 of Clubs. They put it together for me. Yeah, you can't make it up. Isn't it crazy? It's definitely like the fabric. People who get into this, they're like, oh, they have that moment of being creeped out slightly where it's like, and for me, it just is part of my fabric and my lens. It's how I breathe and see the world. And you have to take breaks. You have to take big, long breaks from it sometimes. Any system that you get into that becomes your lens through which you see the world, sometimes you just put away the lens and just like experience the air, the temperature, the people, your feelings, stuff like that. Yeah, the day it was incorporated, I think. I look at the date on my license for the card and I pulled up the whole script. Oh, that's great. Yeah, and so the 8 of Clubs is a very, very powerful. It's the only card I give the designation special because my daughter is the 8 of Clubs. It's very special. It is very special and it's very difficult to be, and I call it the bridger of worlds. They've got a grip on how things should be and have to evolve a relationship to how things are. And that can be very difficult. And a number of them kind of go crazy. I know some truly half-cocked 8 of Clubs. That's kind of mean to say it that way, but, not quite in touch with reality, right on the edge. They have to be very grounded. So my daughter, who's the 8 of Clubs, chose to come through an engineer father and me. And she is this perfect harmony of these two things. So the day it started operations, the day you incorporate, you might be thinking, oh, I'm going to look at these significant dates. And I would just add a little bit in there. Every day is significant. And if you're wondering, is this day significant for my business? If you think it is, it is. Every day is significant. Like sometimes, like a day that somebody like has an accident or a near-death experience, they definitely their soul gets an imprint of that day. They come back into their body, back in this system, and they incorporate. And I have done at least one reading with someone who's had a near-death experience based on their new card, and it was like, oh, wow, huge correlation. Something else very interesting. I did a reading recently for somebody whose body was born a few minutes before midnight on an 8 of Diamonds day. And after midnight, her little baby body was resuscitated and her spirit came into the body on a 7 of Diamonds day. So she's in an 8 of Diamonds package, but she definitely has a 7 of Diamonds spirit. Fascinating. It's like all this dynamism, sensitivity, intelligence, genius of the 7 of Diamonds, but packed into a really solid suit who's in command of herself. And it's like, oh my God, she's a force to be reckoned with. January 1st, 2014, King of Spades for my business. Excellent card, right? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about the particularities of a King of Spades. in your business may feel like this, have a subjective experience of, oh my God, I'm responsible for everybody, I'm responsible for everything, I'm everyone's dad, I created all of this. My mom was the king of spades, and that was one of her fixations, was apologizing for everything, because if she could feel responsible for it, then maybe she had the capacity to fix it. So it's kind of a relationship to control. Control tends to be their love language. What else? Their only planetary ruler is the Five of Clubs. So they have a really intense relationship with wanting to learn stuff. And another interesting thing, and I'd be very curious what your business is, Jason, because if you take the composite card, add 52, the King of Spades, to any other card, say the Nine of Hearts, 9. And you come up with, what is that, 61? No. Yeah, 61. Then you subtract 52 to get the composite relationship, and it's the Nine of Hearts, which means the King of Spades acts like a 9 numerologically. They will reflect you back to yourself. And my mom, after she passed away, the funeral, everything, which was about 6 years ago, everyone of us kids, all 5 of us, had an incredibly unique relationship with her. She was all 7 of diamonds with me. She was all King of Hearts with my brother. And it was like, until I understood that, I thought she was just kind of, wasn't really real with me. But it's because they have that morphic ability to really be with you and to kind of be you. Isn't that interesting? Like the healer king archetype. Like, okay, so I'm going to say something else about kings and court cards. It was about a download I got at Panera. Your business is the 8 of clubs, Jack of spades, Cancer, 8 of clubs. Funny thing about my big kid is the Aquarius, Jack of spades, and he is a big inspiration for me to keep going with my business, especially when it feels really hard to do. That is so cool. So like he's your moon card, like the emotional support. That's really great. And that's an incredibly powerful combination. And you know that Jack of spades is like transformational. No way. Wow. So anytime you come across the number 52, like I do that now because of the cards. If I'm looking at a tarot deck or an animal deck or whatever, I always pay special attention to the 52nd card. And now I know why. It's because it bears that vibration of, numerologically, time. The number of days in a year, you guys know that correlation. The calendar is the cards are a picture of time in the calendar. 364 is what all the value, the numeric value of all of the cards come to. 4 months, 4 seasons, 12 court cards, 12 months. A Gregorian calendar, not going to go there, but it's it is a picture of time. So anyway, what I was going to say, okay, blockchain and web design, web 3. Wow. So yeah, that's kind of big, comprehensive. It's all over your code. I love that. It's what I do with my business, transforming lives and initiating change. Yeah, so the Jack of Spades is the card of the shaman. They have a morphic ability to translate themselves in form, in energy, in dimension, locality. I mean, it's a shapeshifter. So, depending on the frequency, what that gets used for, you can see why it's like the liar, actor, thief card. It's very morphic. So what I was going to say about court cards, and I think I'm going to go unless I get some other big questions there. The court cards are not meant to be seen and understood in the higher vibrational realms as ruling over or royalty. We're all royalty. Okay, like I was thinking of some spicy sailor words right there, but I probably shouldn't say them. But we're all royalty. So if you take away the hierarchy, what they showed me, like after 16 years of study, I was sitting at Panera and they came through to me and I'm crying and I'm like, oh my God, they're here. Who are they? And what did I just get inducted into? It was crazy. We are the elites. Like Alex Collier talks about us being cosmic royalty. Our DNA is really, it's very fascinating, but it's not who we are. You are your spirit, your soul, borrowing some DNA, dancing with it. And isn't it amazing? Honey, what are you doing? Oh no, he's making bread. You called Kathy? She's going to help you? We have a nice farmer wife 2 doors away who grows worms, and she helps us with everything imaginable. I think she's the 9 of clubs. If you found them, the closer you are to a person, the more you tend to forget what their card is. Okay, so what I saw was all of the court cards, the kings in particular, were all crying. I looked down at my really, really old fold-out spread of the pure and the mundane spreads, and I looked at the kings, and they were all crying. And they said, we are in service to our suit. Technically, all positions of leadership are a form of service, right? Because leadership sucks sometimes. Bigly. It's definitely a Christ-like act of service. Oh. So, that's all I gotta say about that. My Jack of Spades kid definitely has that energy. He has a 4-planet stellium in the 11th Pisces. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is. It's your 5 of diamonds. Yes, and me as a 7 of diamonds with my 8 of clubs daughter, it was just like, I don't know if I can house this much power. I'm just a little bunny here, okay? But we found our way, and oh my gosh, what a gift. What an incredibly intense gift she is. She's 31 now. But you said something. Okay, so that, yeah, okay, let me tell you this. If you have a child or you know a child who has the Jack of Spades somewhere in their spread, they must learn the power of that card. They have to learn how it functions by doing things like lying, misleading, casting an energy at you that says, I'm going to tell you an emotional lie. And they're really freaking good at it, aren't they? I mean, my kids had a statute of limitations at about 3 years after particular events. 4 years, they would begin telling me the shit that they did 3 and 4 years ago. And I was like, oh my God. And with your Neptune influence, do you find like he can get shit by you? My 5 of diamonds friend, she's like, not so much. You can't get shit by her like that. But anyway, yeah, they have to learn what that energy is by using it. So they're going to experiment on you because guess what? You're pretty safe. You're going to love them and forgive them. So like, don't come down too hard on them. If they lie, they're stretching the container. I think the more obstreperous a child is, the more challenging they are, the more likely they are to become leaders with, or people of influence or having a really big impact. They really have to stretch and learn how their equipment works. So just take a deep breath and don't take it personally. Yeah, and always try to get the higher self perspective. Okay, so when I give readings, this is the coolest thing. This is what happens when I give a reading. And yes, I am doing a little plug for my readings. You can find it in the description below and go to my website and do find the contact page and schedule a reading and all that sliding scale. But anyway, the very first thing I do is after blah, 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 a little, hi, how are you? I go into silence and I connect with your higher self. And usually there is a higher self version that's pretty involved. If a person's awake-ish, working on their consciousness, their higher self is usually pretty close in proximity. I did a reading once where their higher self was like, oh, they were like so freaking bored because this person was completely out of touch with their higher self. And I told them that, and I wonder if they remember that. But then I go higher because the immediate higher self, we have many high dimensional selves, many layers. And the one that's closest in tends to be more emotionally involved, even carrying some like desire I don't know if I'd say attachment, but there's definitely a real like they're real close up to the TV soap opera. They're really involved. And frequently I'll have to be like, I need to go higher. I need to go to your higher ups. And one time I went to, was it my highest light or someone I was reading for, noticed the impersonality of the memory. But I just, sometimes something comes to you with a few tag words because it's a frequency that you're being called to. Because, like, if I just said, go to your highest light, if that didn't mean anything to you, it'd be like, if you're not supposed to be in touch with that aspect. But at that time, it really meant something. Anyway, that's what I do. And I get to this higher self vantage point, and there's always a couple of things present. One is huge compassion, just love. They're amused. They're usually laughing. Okay, not every time. They're never mean or harsh or disappointed or impatient or judgmental, ever. There's humor, there's compassion, there's clarity, and there's always a sense of, please tell this person it's going to work out, that it's really okay, that all the distress is just not necessary. It's part of the process, but it's really going to be okay. And then they give me an image or a feeling. God, one time they gave me the physical experience of where this person was from. Like, our souls are from God, but like we spent a lot of time in various star systems as particular beings, and suddenly I was wearing the skin of this feline being, but like those naked dogs, like the naked mole rat, these animals that are hairless, but they have like little spots on their bodies, little melanin deposits. They're so weird looking. Well, this woman was a feline with no hair and this like kind of crunched up little cat face, and I felt the skin. I felt it was like aquatic. It was like an aquatic cat, and I was just like, oh, it just totally gave me the EBGBs, and I was like, I'm probably from there because they usually don't give me those experiences, but they wanted me to feel that one. That was so weird. The skin was like way tighter than our skin is, and it's like I could feel it. So anyway, when I give readings, I just want to put this out there as a little plug for myself, is I'm communicating with lots of layers of information, and I use the cards, but I have given a number of readings with like my long-term clients. I don't even use the cards anymore. Their guides know my guides, and it just happens, so I was wondering about this relationship, da 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 da, it just goes from there. Also, there's the option to get a cosmic connection report, which is $45, and you just you give me your email. It'll show you how to text me. If you send me an email, I'm not likely to get it for a while, but you text me your birthday, their birthday, the general nature of the relationship, first names, just so I can have someone to refer to, and your email address. And then it's all done through email. I tune into your relationships, I see past lives, and I tell you what all your planetary connections are, and I feel into what is at work and what's influencing you right now. And I'm totally shooting in the dark most of the time, like remote viewing. That's what I'm doing. I'm remote viewing the emotional layers of the relationship. So anyway, that's about it. I usually don't plug myself. I feel so inhibited about doing that. But like, hello, here's what I do. So happy Queen of Clubs Day. Know that in the mundane spread, she is sitting in the position of the 10 of Diamonds. The 10 of Diamonds is not about big money. It is about delivering higher consciousness truth that will move the collective forward. They sit in Mercury, Uranus, where the Queen of Spades sits. I think of her heading up the humanitarian line as a life coach. There's a maternal energy to the 10 of Diamonds. That's one reason they can be sort of controlling. Queen of Clubs and Queen of Spades. But the 10 of Diamonds home position to bring it all the way around. Yeah, they're here to deliver truth that will move the collective forward. So that's a little new framework for you 10 of Diamonds out there. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me on the spontaneous. I sure hope I can figure this out. And hit the notification bell, like and subscribe. Feel free to share. get so sick of hearing all of that. But anyway, yes, possibly plan to attend next Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time if that works for you. So right now it's 2:10 p.m. Just to let you know. So yes, love and big hearts, and thank you, thank you, thank you for your international global participation. I feel so honored. Have a really great Sunday, everybody. Talk to you later.